Hello and welcome to Enfresp. In this video, we are looking at how to say our nationality in French. First, we'll look at the verb to be, which is
Être.
This is an irregular verb both in English and in French, which means it does not follow a pattern. So, let's look at how we conjugate to be or être. I am in French is
Je suis.
The je sounds like the sound in the middle of the word treasure, and the S at the end of suis is silent unless it's followed by a vowel or a H. Let's hear I am in French again.
Je suis.
You are, informal and single, is
Tu es.
The U makes a short oo sound, and the S at the end of the phrase is silent, again, unless followed by a vowel or a H. Let's hear you are, informal and single again.
Tu es.
He is and she is are
Il est.
and.
Elle est.
The ST at the end of a are silent, so the word sounds the same as the word for are. Let's hear he is and she is again.
Il est. Elle est.
We are, in French, is
Nous sommes.
Nous ends in an S, and it's not followed by a vowel or a H, so this S is silent. The S at the end of som is also silent unless followed by a vowel or a H. Let's hear we are in French again.
Nous sommes.
You are, formal or plural, is
Vous êtes.
The S at the end of vous is heard this time because it's followed by a vowel, and the sound gets pulled to et, so the words run into each other. Let's hear them again.
Vous êtes.
The S at the end of it is silent, again, unless followed by a vowel or a H. The first E has a little arrowhead above it, which is called,
Un circonflexe.
and it makes the E say eh. Let's hear you are, formal and plural again.
Vous êtes.
They are, when speaking about a group of males or a mixed gender group, is
Ils sont.
The S at the end of il is not pronounced because it's followed by the consonant S, and the T at the end of sont is also silent. Let's hear they are, referring to a male or mixed group again.
Ils sont.
They are, when speaking about a female group, is
Elles sont.
Again, the S at the end of elle is silent, and the T at the end of sont is silent, as neither have vowels or a H after them. Let's hear they are, referring to a group of females again.
Elles sont.
Let's run through the conjugation of to be again. So to be is
Être.
I am is
Je suis.
you are, informal and single, is
Tu es.
he is
Il est.
she is
Elle est.
we are is
Nous sommes.
you are, formal or plural, is
Vous êtes.
they are, referring to males or a mixed gender group, is
Ils sont.
and they are, referring to a female group, is.
Elles sont.
We are now going to look at some nationalities in French. The phrase usually used is I am, je suis, and then your nationality. Remember that if your nationality in French begins with a vowel or a H, the S at the end of suis will be heard, otherwise it will be silent. We'll first look at places in the UK. The word English in French is
Anglais.
when referring to a masculine noun and
Anglaise.
when referring to a feminine noun. The AN at the beginning of anglais is pronounced more like the English on. The S at the end of the masculine anglais is not heard, but the S at the end of the feminine anglaise is heard because of the E after it. Let's hear I am English, said by a male and a female.
Je suis anglais.
Je suis l'anglaise.
The word Scottish is
Écossais.
when referring to a masculine noun and
Écossaise.
with a feminine noun. The S at the end of the masculine écossais is silent, but the S at the end of écossaise is heard because it has an E after it. Let's hear I am Scottish, said by a male and a female.
Je suis écossais.
Je suis écossaise.
The word Welsh is
Gallois.
when referring to a masculine noun and
Galloise.
when referring to a feminine noun. The S at the end of the masculine gallois is not heard. However, the S in the feminine galloise is heard because it has an E after it. Let's hear I am Welsh, said by a male and a female.
Je suis gallois.
Je suis galloise.
The word Irish is
Irlandais.
when referring to a masculine noun and
Irlandaise.
when referring to a feminine noun. The S at the end of the masculine irlandais is silent. However, the S at the end of the feminine irlandaise is heard because of the E added to the end. Let's hear I am Irish, said by a male and a female.
Je suis irlandais.
Je suis irlandaise.
The word British is,
Britannique.
it is the same for both genders. Let's hear I am British, said by a male and a female.
Je suis britannique.
Je suis britannique.
Let's look at some other countries now. The word American is,
Américain.
if referring to a masculine noun and
Américaine.
if referring to a feminine noun. The end of the masculine America sounds almost like the IN is not there. The feminine Americaine ends with the sound ken. Let's hear I am American, said by a male and a female.
Je suis américain.
Je suis américaine.
The word Canadian is,
Canadien.
if referring to a masculine noun and
Canadienne.
when referring to a feminine noun. The end of the masculine Canadien sounds more like ya, and at the end of the feminine Canadien, you can hear the EN. Let's hear I am Canadian, said by a male and a female.
Je suis canadien.
Je suis canadienne.
The word French is
Français.
when referring to a masculine noun and
Française.
when referring to a feminine noun. The C has a hook under it called,
Une cédille.
which makes the C sound like an S. The S at the end of the masculine français is silent, but the S in the feminine française is heard because it has an E after it. Let's hear I am French, said by a male and a female.
Je suis français.
Je suis française.
The word Spanish is
Espagnol.
when referring to a masculine noun and
Espagnole.
when referring to a feminine noun. The G is silent and it sounds like there is a Y after the N. Both words sound the same, although there is an E on the end of the feminine, español. Let's hear I am Spanish, said by a male and a female.
Je suis espagnol.
Je suis espagnole.
The word Italian is,
Italien.
if referring to a masculine noun and
Italienne.
when referring to a feminine noun. The end of the masculine Italia sounds more like ya, and at the end of the feminine Italien, you can hear the EN. Let's hear I am Italian, said by a male and a female.
Je suis italien.
Je suis italienne.
The word Swiss in French is,
Suisse.
It is the same for both genders. Let's hear I am Swiss said by a male and a female.
Je suis suisse.
Je suis suisse.
The word African is
Africain.
if referring to a masculine noun and
Africaine.
if referring to a feminine noun. The end of the masculine Africa sounds more like ka, and the feminine Africaine, you can hear ken at the end this time. Let's hear I am African said by a male and a female.
Je suis africain.
Je suis africaine.
The word Belgian is
Belge.
it's the same for both genders. The G is making a j sound like in the word treasure. Let's hear I am Belgian said by a male and a female.
Je suis belge.
Je suis belge.
Okay, let's recap all the different nationalities we've heard with different conjugations of to be. Note that if the pronoun is plural, we, you, or they, the nationality is also pluralized.
Je suis anglais.
Tu es écossaise.
Il est gallois.
Elle est irlandaise.
Nous sommes
britanniques.
britanniques.
Vous êtes américaine.
Ils sont canadiens.
Elles sont françaises.
Je suis espagnole.
Tu es italienne.
Il est suisse.
Elle est africaine.
Nous sommes belges.